in the last class that every table has an ID, right? It's very important to maintain an ID for every row. Okay, so every row is identified by a key. Every row is identified by a key. Now let's see how it is identified by. Like such, you go to a school, they give you IDs. Do you know what the reason behind giving IDs? Because there may be multiple people with the same name, but when you generate an ID, the purpose of ID is to identify. So instead of identifying by names, they just identify you by a number. Okay, they say, like, for instance, Taufik has number 765, let's say. So as soon as I type in that number, his information will be coming up, because in database his ID is 765, like such. So every table has an ID, okay, a column ID, then let's say name, whatever name, and since it's a photo application, I'll say gender. I'll take gender. Okay, and every table will be having this, his status is like, is he active. I mean, see, some people they want to deactivate their account, some people want to make their accounts public, private, such kind, and then registered on. Okay, so this particular field here, this field, oh, this is way big, and expect that to be that big. Okay, this field here, this field right here is called primary key, because that's how we identify it, right? How do we identify the users? Based on the primary key. So primary key is nothing but our ID here. Okay, now this is user, so you just fill in the data over there. And then what else we have? We have photos. We have photos. Now photos will be having again few fields. So I won't be telling all the fields. I'll be just talking about those fields which are really essential for this topic. I hope you guys are following, right? This is how you have to design a database. I don't know how good you will be designing the database. I'll be showing only once how to design a database in the project, and the rest, it's up to you guys to do it. And this is I'll design in the most efficient way. I don't care when I say efficient way. Okay, it's like there'll be little glitches in performance because everything is not perfect, but it will be pretty, I'm pretty sure that it can sustain that much of traffic. So I'll show. So again, like I said, every table will have something to identify, right? There's an identifier. Now photos will have album, right? They'll have an album. Okay, so let's just not talk about album. Oops. Photos are identified by their users, right? So there will be user ID. Will be user ID, and then added on, updated on, deleted on, I don't know, there are so many other fields you should be talking later. Now what is the primary key in photos now, based upon the previous knowledge? Tell me, what is the primary key? ID. Fantastic. Great. Great, you guys are picking it up. Now this is the primary key. Right, this is the primary key. Now there is one more thing here. User ID is there here, which is a primary key of the users table, right? The user ID is the primary key of the users table. But now here in this table it has become a secondary one. It is important, but it is not important to identify a photo. It is important to identify a user. Just give me a second. So this particular key, this is also a key, but now the significance of this key here is no more used to identify the photos, right? They are used to identify something else. So that's where this is called a foreign key. The reason why it is called foreign key, because it is not from this table. It's a key, but it is not from this table. Its actual value is somewhere else in this table. Hey Ankush, what's up? How are you? So yeah, this is it. This, since this is the ID of that table, it's a primary key, and since this is the ID of a relationship table, right? There's a relationship between these two tables. So since it's an ID of a relationship table, it's a foreign key. Now you guys understood the concept of foreign key and primary key, right? Right? So now the next question people will ask, okay, the next question will people ask, okay, you are talking about foreign key and primary key. Now do you know about index? Index. So yeah, anyone here who knows about index? Anybody here who knows index? Rajesh? Kohlis? I don't know what it is. Oh goodness. I'm reading columns? No? Used to find data fast? Good. That's a really good answer. It's used to find data fast. Right? Next, any other? Summary of data. Fantastic. This is a real meaning. Index is nothing but it's not exactly summary, contents of the data, right? When we talk, we see in the textbooks like it index comes the first. It's like what it contains. Great, some nice answers here. So Kavita might be knowing what index is exactly, since she knows a bit of database, right Kavita? No? Good. Fine. As index is nothing but any column. Okay, now let's come from Rajesh's answer. Any column can be an index. Okay, any column. So we talked about primary key. Usually primary key is nothing but again an index in the background. It's an index identified by a primary key. So any column can be index, and index is used to, if I make a column as index, it is faster to fetch the data. Okay, so yeah, you two guys are great. Any column can be index. So just like index is again an identifier. So when I say a column is indexed, it has two meanings. Like, okay, in future you can fetch the data using this index too. So which we'll be learning more exclusively when we talk about queries. When we talk about queries, I'll be talking about index in detail. But as of now, consider that if you make a column as index, it is very fast to fetch the data. So that means, it tells the database that, okay, this guy has made this column index, so he can search using that index too. That's one meaning. So index is an identifier, just like a primary key, it's an identifier. Now the main usage of index is one, to fetch the data faster. The second is to make this particular guy a foreign key, to relate this guy with this table. Okay, to relate this guy to this table, I have to make UID. I have to make UID as index to map it to its parent table. So this is the main purpose of index. So people will be asking, why do you use index? Use index to support foreign key. Use index so that your foreign key maps to the right data. Alright? Yes? Any questions here? So index, the primary purpose of index is you can make any column as index. If you make it as an index, you can fetch the data faster. Okay, so you're coming there. So if you have to map your foreign key to its parent table, now what is where should this map to, this particular foreign key? This UID should be mapped to ID, right? Or else there is no use. To ID of users table, not just users table. We have to map individual columns. Since it's a column, you have to map it to a column only. Okay, so this UID should be mapped to this ID. To do that, this should be index. You have to make this as index, which we'll be seeing in today's class, how to make things index, how to define different tables, and how to create different tables, and what kind of data types we have. So these three are important questions, interview questions. And there is one more interview question. I hope you guys understood, right? Why should we make this as index? Yes, why should we make UID as index? Exactly, primary key, reference of foreign key. Fantastic. Now let's talk about the foreign key support, which I've been explaining in the previous slide. Foreign, am I writing the spelling right? Okay, yeah, foreign key support. So when I say strict foreign key support, that means, now let's say the data is filled now. So there is user 1. Okay, let's put this. There is user 1 and his name is M and his gender is female. Sorry, he is not, her then in that case. His status is active and he is registered like today. Okay, so like such, this guy has uploaded images as soon as he joined. So 1, what is his ID? If M uploads, what's his ID, UID? If M uploads 1, so then blah blah, whatever the fields. Then M again uploaded one more, so again the ID becomes 2. Okay, I'll tell you how ID becomes 2. And again M uploaded one more picture, like such. Now if at all M deletes his account, let's say if M deletes his account, okay, he's serving his keys like inside a different table. We have mapped it, we have logged that mapping, so it does not let him to delete himself or her to delete herself as long as the images are deleted too. So if you have to delete Mr. M, first you have to delete these guys, then proceed to delete this guy. Alright, so this is where strict foreign key support is nothing but, even before deleting your child tables, child tables data, you cannot delete the primary tables or the parent tables data. So that is strict foreign key support. And what is partial foreign key support? Partial foreign key support is nothing but, okay, you can map it, but when you delete it, no problem, just delete it. It gets deleted here, it gets deleted here, and like such. What engines does MySQL support? This is the next big question. And what are they? What is the difference? Yes, Kavita has an answer. How many types does it support? So which one's the default? Cool. All right. InnoDB. MyExam. Great. So there are several types. We don't even care about all the types. We only care about two types. Okay. We only care about two types. The first type, the default, is MyExam. So I stands for index, S stands for sequential, A stands for access, M stands for method. Nobody gonna ask you the full form. Okay, you can get this in Google too. So nobody will ask you the what exactly it is. Alright, the next is InnoDB. InnoDB. I don't know the full form of this. I have never. Maybe DB stands for database. Okay, I don't know that. So there are a few differences. The only primary difference I say is MyExam is a non-transaction. MyExam supports non-transaction. MyExam. Oops. So this guy supports this, and the other transaction safe is supported by InnoDB. So whenever you wanted to have a strict foreign key relationship, use InnoDB. Whenever you don't want this kind of relationships, strict foreign key relationships, yeah, use InnoDB. Sorry, MyExam. This is one question they ask in interviews. Hey, what are the types of your database engines? I just say there are 6 or 7 types of database engines, but the most important ones are MyExam and InnoDB. MyExam is a non-transaction. MyExam supports non-transaction safe, and InnoDB supports transaction safe. And that means InnoDB has a strict foreign key support, whereas MyExam has no strict foreign key support. That means you can delete your parent table data even without considering the child data. You got it? This is how you have to answer a question when somebody asks you about the different types of database engines.